All right, this is Bob Slocum with Game Time Broadcasting. Cut to restart that. Hi, this is Bob Slocum with Game Time Broadcasting here with Coach Moore. Coach, our first one of our coaches meetings.
Yeah.
So a couple of things real quickly. This is your third year. Tell me a little bit about where you're at, the program, how we've kind of advanced.
I think that there's been a lot of advancement for sure. I think a lot of things that we've done and implemented over the last couple of years is kind of coming to fruition, which is really exciting. I think a lot of the stuff that we've um, have talked about in off seasons and you know, as much as we've invested in the community and all those things is really kind of showed up this year. Everything that we've done as far as reverse raffle and um, even our Booster Club meetings that we hold here in the Dragon's Lair, like people are here, man. People are excited. They see the benefits of being a Round Rock football player, just beyond playing football. They're seeing all the lessons that are being taught and really trying to grow young men, and it's really exciting.
Now, from a leadership style, how have you seen your leadership style evolve? And you've been
Yeah,
here as a defensive
yeah.
coordinator. You've now it's your program.
Yeah, so I can see myself, year one still having a lot of the crazy defensive coordinator type personality, and I can probably see a little bit more of that even last year. And but I felt like I've definitely, I guess for lack of better terms, calmed down.
Mhm.
Just being a whole lot more strategic. A lot more um, uh, having a better a view of the entire, like a bird's eye view, right? Like, the 10,000 foot view, not necessarily the 10 foot view, like that kind of thing. And that's just, growing in your profession. Like year three is always going to be a whole lot better than year one. So, yeah, I would say I'm just calm down a little bit. Just make sure I take a deep breath and just keeping the main thing for sure.
And you just mentioned you're raising young men. It's not just football. It's not just X's and O's. How about some of your, junior, seniors, more senior leadership
Yeah.
players? How have you seen them develop both in the classroom, out and about in the city? And
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the thing that is the most impressive is like how great our kids are across the board. Like we have phenomenal kids. And I mean, they're great athletes, but they're great young men. They have great families. Um, but we just try to make sure that we are either complementing that and encouraging those things and like getting them to show those things, show those out. Like, go out there and be confident in what you do and what you've been taught and how you've been raised, all those type of things. But at the same time, there's some kids that don't have that. So we utilize those kids that have been taught those lessons, whether it's, at the house or in here in this room, and use those people as examples. And hopefully you get a whole program that are invested in those values that we're trying to, instill in them.
so April through May 2023, you get named the head coach. I was reading an article where you said, you're from a small town,
Yeah.
you played baseball, you played football. You said that to me as well. So talk to me a little bit. Now you find yourself the head football coach of a
Mhm.
mega 6A school
Yeah.
with in a city with 130,000, 135,000 now plus people in a program that's now over 320 student athletes. What is your vision a little bit when we talked about broadcasting, we talked about this coffee with coaches that we have coming up. Talk to me a little bit about your vision on how do you make the small and the culture you're trying to build here.
Well, it's all about community to me. I think that when you invest in the community and you continue to keep on doing things, that's what makes it feel small. That's how you create your little pockets of community. You know, Round Rock's special. There's things that big old Round Rock intimidates some people, but what's so cool about Round Rock High School specifically is the community is pretty tight knit, pretty small. Yes, it is a massive school. Yes, there's a ton of kids, but the combination of old Round Rock and people that have moved into Round Rock, they all have invested in the community and want to be a part of something special, and that's what makes it small. Now, what I'm trying to do is I'm also trying to implement things that make it charming, like make it to where you don't lose where some of the charm that goes along with small town life. And for example, like having a local broadcaster, having to come out there and broadcast your games because he knows our kids personally. That's one big thing. But also giving opportunities for the community to come out and be able to talk to me directly. Get to know Coach Moore and not just Cody Moore, right? So this trying to create those venues and the environments where people can invest their time and energy and all those things to make it a tight-knit community, even though it does feel so big.
Now, another thing you've done really well is kind of reaching out to the alumni.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, how do your vision of including the alumni into the program?
One of the most special things about all of that is just getting those guys to come back. Like having those guys come back and being able to see the fruits of their labor 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, and seeing the improvements in facilities and seeing the improvements in what we're doing, schematically, whatever it may be, and then be able to see all the improvements that have been made because of their hard work. I want them to be able to see that because I know I had the opportunity, leaving TCU and coming back and seeing all the buildings and everything that's all new and nice now was because of the success that we had there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, this is a great example of this because I actually texted all the guys not too long ago, all the alumni guys that I've coached over the years. And I sent them our maroon helmet reveal. And those guys are absolutely fired up. And I made sure to tell them, though, guys, this is because of your hard work. You guys, doing what you did on the field, how you represented yourself in the classroom and in our community is the reason why we were able to do something this special and do something this cool. And so thank you. And so, I want those guys to come back even more. I want them to know that, I told the Booster Club tonight, high school football is what I remember. I don't necessarily, yes, there is some big time moments and big games and stuff that we did at TCU and stuff. But for the most part, all my buddies that I play with in high school and the community that I got to play for are the things that I remember. So I just wanted those kids that have graduated and gone on to feel that same thing.
And now I know you personally, so I know you love all these kids that you coached, from your defensive coordinator to your head coaching days, but two of them jump out at me. You mentioned tonight a stat during that Booster Club meeting that only 2% will go on to play D1 on a scholarship. Well, you have two out of the class of 2024 that are absolutely killing it in D1. You've got Luke Miller down at Rice, starting tackle. And you've got what some say, I've heard in some articles, the #1 rated cornerback in D1 college football at Notre Dame, Leonard Moore.
Yeah.
What is that? What do you think back of them? And now you're watching them on Saturdays.
The greatest thing about all of that is, yes, they are phenomenal athletes, but I know for a fact those are phenomenal kids. Like they're just great. They're going to be great young men. They're both going to be super successful. Those are the things that kind of give me chills, like, yes, I know they're going to go produce and do great things on the football field because I know they're great athletes. But I know for a fact that they've been raised well and they've been through a program to where no matter if football was over in a blink, they were still going to be successful because they're super bright and motivated, and they got a foundation up underneath them that regardless of what goes on, they're going to be able to pull through any of that stuff. So it's just it's really is cool to see those guys flourish in that setting. But I can tell you, just like I made sure to text Leonard the other day and just say, hey man, put all the stuff aside. I see you interviewing on Good Morning America and the Today Show and all this other stuff. And I told him, I was like, congratulations with all that stuff, but I want to just make sure I tell you that I'm most impressed with you being humble through all that and making sure that your answers are always about we and us and not about me or I. And those are lessons that he learned here. Those are things that we implemented. And so I take pride in that big time.
Absolutely. And fantastic families, fantastic kids.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit. You mentioned TCU. So you had the privilege, really,
Yeah.
one of the all-time greats in Coach Gary Patterson.
Mhm.
Coach Patterson, 189, 71 lifetime record,
Yeah,
won a historic, I think, 2010 Rose Bowl against Wisconsin.
that's it.
What were some of the big lessons? And honestly, as we watch in a week from now, about 10 days, well, week and a half, we're going to be watching a Texas team, a number one ranked Texas Longhorn. He was instrumental when Coach Sark got hired and helping build the culture there.
Mm.
What are the biggest lessons, takeaways, and things that have helped you as both a man, a father, and as a football coach?
You know, the first thing is it's not about you. That's the first thing. Like, it's not about you and your success. It's about us and what we can do to better each other. And I mean, we got some big time recruits while we were there. And like the first thing he always did was make sure that you check the ego at the door. And because that's not going to fly here.
Mhm.
And but I can tell you just the group that I played with, the class that I came in with, we're a bunch of no names. We're a bunch of 2-star, 3-star guys, maybe max 3-star guys that were small school guys, all played different positions throughout high school, not even the same position that we played at college. And all it was, we had an opportunity to go play ball. We were going to get a free education and have a lot of success doing it. But
Mhm.
he knew that he was recruiting tough-nosed dudes that were going to go out there and have fun, and that he can put us through anything, and we're going to be able to withstand it. And so he bred that. Like he encouraged that. Like, I want guys that are going to come out here and fight to be, bleed purple, like they say,
Mhm.
right? Do anything they can for the guy next to him, right? But through all that, when I had the ability to be on his leadership council and to see the inner workings of how he went and operated on certain things, is when I found a whole newfound respect for him, because it was a whole lot more than what he was just telling the entire team. When we got to see the inner workings of the program and seeing all that he did leading up to that team meeting, or all the work and preparation, like, I was truly amazed by all that. And even years after that, when I became a defensive coordinator, like, I would go camp 3 or 4 days up there. I'd go and stay a couple nights, but I was in the film room, in meetings, doing that for days. And I was trying to, like, just be in it, live in it for a while, just so I can see how they operate.
Mhm.
Right. So I guess the biggest lessons is, checking your ego, but then too, like, creating some sort of work ethic, because, and I've had to learn this over the years. Like, it's not always like work harder, it's work smarter. That's a big thing for him too. But like the probably the biggest thing out of all three is probably just, learning how to be tough.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's a lost art these days. It really is. Like, just being tough, just whatever comes your way, you're going to be able to withstand any of that. Yeah.
I can appreciate it as the dad of three boys. I'm telling them, you go off to college, you get your degree. My oldest in college now, and it's not like, hey, I got my college degree. Where's my job?
Yeah.
You got to have grit. You got to have
Yeah.
fight. It's
Yeah.
competition everywhere. Um, Whole other conversation. We'll bring this up in another one, but you mentioned, we could talk about NIL. We could talk about how much it's changed since your days at TCU, which is fascinating, right? Do you see high school becoming the new college? And what I mean by that is, like, you don't have money here. You don't have, it's a lot harder when I'm getting paid $2 million to check my ego
Yeah.
at the door than when I'm a high school kid fighting, trying to get into the next level.
Well, it hasn't reached us yet, thankfully. But it's what we battle is just the sense of entitlement, right? And so sometimes that happens with every high school kid,
Mhm.
not just this place in particular, but every kid thinks that they should be able to get something they haven't earned, right?
Mhm.
And but I think that our program, we, I mean, we, especially during our phase one, if you want to call it the boot camp phase or whatever, like, we do everything we can to make them not think that. Like, you're going to earn everything that you're going to earn everything you deserve.
Mhm.
So if you don't sit here and earn it, then you're not going to receive anything.
Yep.
So we try to do our best to instill that here. But where NIL is getting sideways is um, like, there's no, they're paying kids millions of dollars. They haven't taken a snap yet.
Yeah.
And so how do you navigate that? How do you get guys on the field to go produce and put their body on the line and go like play for the guy next to you. Well, the guy next to me is not nearly as good as me, but he makes 2 million. I only make 1 million.
Yeah.
So like there's that whole element, right? And so I don't like it. I mean, I've been
Yeah.
plain and simple, but I know that's just kind of where we're at.
And it's the world we live in. I remember when Quinn Ewers was the quarterback at Texas and he got a parking ticket.
Yeah.
No, sorry, got his car towed during a game.
Oh, really?
He illegally parked and he got his car towed. And I remember thinking, oh, poor college kid, right? It's an
Yeah.
old beater. It was an Aston Martin. Until somebody told me it was an Aston
Yeah.
Martin that got towed. I didn't feel so bad
Yeah.
anymore, right?
Well,
But
I can remember like just, being in my college days, like we couldn't wait to get the $895.21 scholarship check so we can make sure we pay rent and get groceries. Like,
yeah,
and that wasn't even enough. Like we were, like I said earlier, I was working a full-time job, playing college football is a full-time job, but then also, having a job on the side,
mhm,
and trying to make some ends meet, like, cause like it went by fast, and
yep.
and
Oh, yeah.
Fort Worth wasn't cheap.
Yep.
So
Yep. So now how do you balance this, right? So your style, you mentioned how you've softened up. I won't say softened.
no,
You've mellowed a little bit,
yeah,
you've calmed a little bit as you've moved more into year three. How do you balance, the discipline with the, encouraging the creative and the personality,
yeah.
but yet the discipline, the
Mhm.
structure that it takes to be one team and not one individual?
Mhm. So the one quote that I always go back to, and it's something that we hang our hat on, is "Be you, but align with us." And so I love that because we want you to be you. We want you to have personality. We want you to have we want you to be who you are.
Mhm.
But at the same time, there's some things that you have to align with us because we all have to be operating on the same front,
Yep.
plain and simple.
So everyone now is fired up. I mean, I came out, we watched the scrimmage. It was 9 months and 6 days since your
Yeah,
last game,
yeah,
right? We're a few days away from game one. How do you keep them motivated week 5, week 6?
yeah. That's the test of a team,
Mhm.
and um, trying to keep them motivated, um, keep them involved, keep them interested, all those types of things. Because by that time, routines are set, and sometimes things get monotonous. And so, how do you keep it create? How do you keep on creating moments where it stays fresh, right?
Mhm.
Um, Now that's my job,
Yep.
but um, at some turn, it's the kids' job, it's the leadership council job to make sure that the culture is what it needs to be
Mhm.
to uphold those monotonous times, right?
Mhm.
Um, I got to be the one to go and do some crazy stuff on the side or like make something foolish outside where we can all get a good laugh and that kind of thing, right? Make it
Yep.
fun, but it's all about culture, man. Like if you develop that and understand that, hey, 5 games in, that's not even. We're talking about 16 games. I mean, we're
Yep.
talking about a third of the season, like that kind
Yep.
of thing, right?
Yep. No, I
So,
got you. So Shoemaker this week, what's the mindset? Where's mindset coaches, players? Where are
yeah.
we at coming into the week?
So if we're talking about like offensively and defensively, on both sides, it's all about execution. Just doing your job is the biggest thing. If we're talking about offensively, on our offense, execution, taking care of the football, your stereotypical coach talk, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think that if we can establish a run game and we can kind of that's all it's going to do is just open up our runs, or I'm sorry, our throwing stuff. So, and that's what we hang our hat on. That's what we're known
Mhm.
for. That's what we're always going to be known for. I am a firm believer in that. Controlling the clock, controlling the tempo. I say controlling the clock. That doesn't mean that we're sitting there running triple option.
Mhm.
Doing the Army Navy stuff. What I'm saying is controlling tempo. Like
Yep.
we're gonna give you different attacks. We're gonna
Mhm.
sprint to the line. We're gonna snap the ball. Sometimes we're gonna tempo snap the ball over and over again. And sometimes we're gonna wait until the clock says 2 seconds and we're gonna snap the ball.
Mhm.
Like we control that.
Mhm.
Defensively, our biggest thing is we got to get lined up correctly. We got to get our eyes in the right spot, and we got to make sure we don't give up any big plays.
Mhm.
Plain and simple. We got tackle in space, all that kind of stuff. But just got to be great tacklers and just make sure we execute and keep our eyes in the right spot. Let's put.
So from what I know of Shoemaker, fast, intense,
Mm-hmm.
what are the key matchups that you're looking at? Is there any key matchups that come to mind? Any?
Yeah, so I mean, Coach Foreman at Shoemaker does a really good job.
Yeah.
Like, he's been there for a long time, and he's had a lot of success. And the thing that I keep on going back to is just how well, like, disciplined and how well of like, he's an offensive guy,
Mhm.
but having him, creating an offense that is effective as what he has, right?
Yep.
But as far as like matchups and stuff, like their quarterbacks gonna be really good, their running backs gonna be really good. That's thinking defensively for a minute. Like, we got to stop the run. That's the biggest thing. Got to stop the run. Then offensively, like, their corners they're really good. I would say they're high caliber corners, and so it's going to test out what I think is our strength right now, and it's our outside receivers. And so getting the ball to them and different variety and being creative offensively is going to be kind of key.
Well, you just answered the key to the game. So we'll
Yeah.
we'll go to the last question,
All right.
Coach. Any messages you want to give to the fans
Yeah.
or anybody listening? What's it going to take this year? How can
Yeah.
they help?
No, I mean, I'm always so pleased by the turnout with our fans, and I want to make sure I tell them thank you because, selling out, being the only Round Rock school that sells out Dragon every single time we play here, as a testament to them. They
Mhm.
enjoy Dragon football, and I'm not talking about the moms and dads and the band parents. I'm talking about the old timers that have been living in Round Rock West for 30 years that still come to games. Like, I love that.
Mhm.
But yeah, Round Rock fans, and just we've put a lot of work in, and hopefully all the stuff that we've done this year is going to pay off.
Excellent. Well, good
Yeah,
luck, Coach.
yeah,
Thank you for your time,
yeah.
buddy.
Thank you.